Welcome back to the We Cultivate Wealth podcast, and my name is Sequita Collins. Today we're going to discuss how to overcome the poverty mindset. A couple of podcasts ago, I talked about the 3 things that Mike and I have learned in the beginning stages on our journey to cultivate wealth for ourselves and for our family and for generations to come. And the 3 things we talked about are belief, poverty, and respecting money. Today we're going to talk about the poverty mindset. And we're going to talk about 3 things you can do to overcome poverty mindset. We're going to begin with 1. 1 is self-awareness. We must know that there is an issue, that there is a problem, that, things aren't progressing the way that we desire. So we have to recognize if we have a problem. And it took Mike and I a while to understand that. And what happened is when you grow up low income, or you grow up, where you have a roof over your head, you have food, you have light, you have gas, you have all of those things, you have clothes, but you don't realize that your parents were struggling to provide all of that for you, that there were programs that they did have to depend on to be able to provide those things. So sometimes you're not even recognizing that, hey, I may be living in poverty. And what happened is it took Mike and I years later, although we did really well. We went to college, got an education. We had great jobs. We had good paying jobs. It was when we went through those, valleys that we learned that we were dealing with the consequences of the money constraint and challenges that our families dealt with. And let me go deeper into that. We had to think about how we thought about money. Yes, we were making money. Yes, we had good jobs. Yes, we had car, house, we were able to put gas in the car, food on the table, and things of that sort. But we didn't understand that our thinking was keeping us with just having enough and not always having an abundance, to having that over. We were saving just enough. We were in the mindset of we'll save in case something happens for an emergency. Guess what? Emergencies always happened, and the money that we had, the money that we had on reserve, the cash we had on reserve, always went to an emergency. We weren't thinking about investing. We weren't thinking about putting our money into stocks or saving to buy property and real estate that we can have long term. We weren't looking at the future of abundance and providing something that will live on further than us, other than the emergencies. So, I propose the question to you guys is, are you carrying on the tradition of the poverty mindset without even realizing it? And that brings me into point 2, responsibility. We have to take responsibility to change or decide how we want to live our life. We have to decide if we want to continue with this mindset, if we want to blame it on, our parents, or blame it on this is how it's always been. This is how we are, things happen and it is what it is. With those kinds of attitudes. So we have to take responsibility and decide if we want our situation to change. If we want to live, not just in the now, but we want to prepare for our future. And we want to live a life of abundance. You have to decide. Abundance is your birthright. You deserve abundance. But you have to be willing to be aware and take responsibility on your thinking, your mindset, and your actions as it relates to money. Money is spiritual. Once we understand that, and that's a podcast for a whole nother day, for us to discuss and talk about, money is spiritual. If you don't have money, there is something spiritually going on with you that has to change. And that's what We Cultivate Wealth podcast, that's some of what this is all about. As we continue on this journey and we share our experiences, our struggles, our triumphs, we're going to share those things. We know right now in our life, and this is something new, 2024, where we had to realize the reason we were struggling is because it is a spiritual dilemma that Mike and I each individually had to deal with, had to come to terms with. So you have to take responsibility. Our third one is you have to reprogram your mind. You have to reframe your mind. Poverty has a language all by itself. It has a language and it has a belief system that is attached to it when we talk about poverty mindset. So you have to reprogram your mind. It's like you have to go into situations and believe and expect the best and expect abundance and expect. It's almost, let me share with you. I am working on this course that I'm taking and I'm building an online business. A couple months ago when I started it, it was hard to me. I stopped. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I started this week on Monday. Going back through the class. I took Monday to go back through, take in the information. And before I started it, one, I had to go into it with prayer. Two, I had to also go into it believing that this is not hard. I can do anything. I'm not worried about not understanding it because I'm going to get it. And guess what? The next day when I went into it, it took me a couple hours. What had took me 2 weeks to figure out, try and figure out. It took me a couple of hours to get it up and running. Because I changed the language and I reframed my mind going into something and saying, hey, going into this, I can do this. It is not hard. I am not going to put the label of difficulty on something that I haven't even tried to attempt it to do. In my mind, nothing is difficult for me to do. I can do it. Anything that's in alignment with me building the wealth that I desire for myself and for my family, it is not too hard. I don't even have time to be scared anymore. I don't have time to overthink things. If someone was able to create a course on it, then it's possible. And if they were able to do it, I know Sequita is able to do it. So we have to reframe our mind, reprogram our mind and language. And about money. Like I said, poverty mindset has a whole language and belief system attached to it. And I am dismantling that language and that belief system. Even what I say, I used to say, well, you have to work hard for money. No, you don't have to work hard for money. Most of us have gifts and talents and abilities. We can go out there in the world, serve people in the world, help them with something that comes so naturally to us and get paid big bucks to do it. So no, you don't have to work hard for money. I plan on working part-time 3 to 4 hours a day, Monday through Thursday. I want a 3-day weekend. And bring in a month what I used to bring in a year. That's my desire. That's my belief. No, you don't have to work hard for money. And that's an example. I want you guys to understand that because I know I'm Generation X. My parents were baby boomers, so they all were in the mindset you had to work hard for money. Yes, you had to do a laborer's job or you had to pick up a second job and you had to do all of this. And I'm looking at it like, wait a minute. So I'm going to go to this job, work 8 hours, do all of this, make this amount of money. Some jobs will pay you real good to forget They'll pay you real good to forget that you don't have to work hard for money. So just to recap how to overcome poverty mindset, just 3 things that I've learned thus far: self-awareness, taking responsibility for my life, and reprogramming my mind. That's reprogramming the language that I utilize as it relates to money and my beliefs. Okay, so that is it for today's podcast. Please join me in the next podcast, and I will be talking to you guys later. Bye.